So do you think today in the US, democracy is at risk?
I do. I do think that we're in for a period of challenges to democracy on several frontiers. We have challenges in the form of public trust. We have challenges in the form of courts that have shifted quite a bit. And we're in for a period where we get to see just how resilient our democracy is.
I'm concerned about a country that actually experienced a coup attempt. In so many ways, I think people feel that their government is not addressing the key crises that are impacting their lives. At a civic level, people don't trust each other. There is a sense of the other as a threat.
Democracy is at risk right now, largely, I think, because we are so polarized as a country. I mean, not just polarized in a political way, but also polarized in a social way, so that essentially our political allegiances, whether we're Democrats or Republicans, overlap so much with who we are as people in terms of our identities now, much more so than they did in the past. And so it just makes everything seem much more dire and important every time there's an election.
It's become a spectator sports. You watch active people and politicians play together somewhere far away, and it has nothing to do with us. And that's probably how we let us believe that democracy is secure, democracy doesn't need our help, and it's eroding, and it's really, really struggling.
We have terrible voter turnout in the US. If you have low turnout, you get certain people voting. On one hand, you get people who are more advantaged, better educated, more privileged. But on the other hand, you also get people who are much more partisan and often more radical, and you've left out a whole swath of people who are often closer to being in the middle. And so you get a distorted politics out of low turnout.
The kind of insistence of fraud where there's little evidence for fraud. You know, I've been seeing litigation pop up where people don't like the outcome of an election, so they allege that it had to have been rigged. And it's a pretty closed worldview. If you didn't win, it was rigged. And we're seeing that not just from the top, but at a lot of different levels.
In order to really like democracy, you have to be willing to lose, because a democracy is a system of voting and the majority wins. And I'm not sure that Americans have actually ever been that enthusiastic about the idea that they want a political system where they can lose. And when people sort of realize, which they do periodically, that their fellow citizens don't agree with them, quite often they will actually prefer and say that they would prefer an authoritarian leader who they regard as right over majority rule. And so I think that's part of the phenomenon that we see globally.
When I think about eroding democracy, part of what we're not doing is really being committed to truthfulness of the information that we're getting and sharing. We're just so tired sometimes, and we're not really searching for the right information, and we're just sort of letting it pass by.
Politicians sort of understand now that anger is a mobilizing emotion. So if you've ever been on sort of an email list for a politician, you'll probably notice that the emails are centered not around like, here are these policy things I want to do, but more around like, here's something outrageous the other side has done, and so you should be angry about this. And if people are mostly getting involved in politics because they're angry, it's going to make it even harder for politicians to compromise. Because if you're essentially making people angry at the other side as a way of getting them motivated to vote, then how are you going to then, once you're in office, turn around and make deals with the other side to make good policy?
Democracy is a frail and precious organism, and so it is a living thing that must constantly be tended to and cared for. It is precious because it is all we have to keep from descending into chaos and lawlessness. We have to be able to have agreement with each other that we will attend to building a peaceful and fair society, and that requires us to have a certain kind of empathy and regard for each other, and that takes work. We can come to understand each other and figure out together what we ought to do in order to preserve each other's well-being. And so that is the work of democracy.